Her Journey to Healing, Reaching Women with a Desperate Cry is an 8-week Zoom seminar in which Kamala and Winston help women to start living their best life by rediscovering the image of God in their life. Kamala, a licensed marriage and family therapist, joins her husband of 16 years, an ordained pastor, to marry the clinical and the spiritual. You will begin living your best life filled with love, joy, and peace. Register at kwministries.net for this life-changing seminar.
The thing about that too, the mistake that I make often is try to love Kamala the way I want to be loved. Now, you know that's not love. That's me doing something to get something. I'm going to say it again. When you try to love someone the way you receive love. So for example, if I hear some good news and I get excited, I get really, really excited. And so if somebody tells me good news, I'm going to get excited. I'm going to get excited with that. And then I get mad because they're not getting excited. But that's really selfish. That's not reaching the person where they need to be met, but rather reaching the person where I need to be met in hopes of getting something in return. Mm-hmm.
You know, we in the therapy world like to feel like we know a lot of stuff, right? And so we talk about all kinds of different concepts, and we've done it all along the way. But nothing that we talk about is new as it relates to the Word of God. Here we are talking about how God is coming to get us, how we get to be now physically, not just mentally, a part of something.
Yes, Lord.
And so this was a concept that Maslow talked about a long time ago, love and belonging. He had this great hierarchy of needs, and if you've got safety and security, you've got shelter, you've got all of those things, then once you have that secure foundation, then you can focus on love and belonging. But here it is that God is saying you already belong. You don't have to worry about love and belonging in the way that Maslow talked about it. But the interesting thing is, just in the same way that Maslow identified that love and belonging is something that we need to thrive as human beings, here's where we're saying to you that, yeah, we agree. We do need love and belonging to thrive as human beings. We do need love and belonging to be able to experience care and compassion and empathy and having a place in the world. We do need love and belonging to be part of community. And guess where we put that?
In the kingdom of God.
Now, in their workbooks, if I remember correctly, I think that right here is where we talk about worldview and having a Christ-centered worldview. Say more about that.
The way you have a Christ-centered worldview, the way you get to know Christ, is going back to Matthew 11, verse 29. Come to me, Jesus says. And here's what he says when you come to me. Learn of me. You take the time to get to know God by learning about him. You take the time to get to know God through Scripture. The Bible says, present your mind to God. Let this mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. The Bible says in Romans, present your bodies as living sacrifice. And so you get to know God by learning from him. And you learn about God from the Word of God.
You know where this puts me back to? It puts me back to where we started, where, God, Adam knew his wife. But my mind goes a little bit behind that to when God was forming man. Mm-hmm. And what it talked about was how, and you're talking about knowing the mind of Christ, and how we do that, and how we can kind of learn from him in terms of knowing people. And I think about just that action of he formed these bodies. He knew us intimately. He spent the time to know us intimately. Right. And I think that's what this is calling us to, that in order to have a Christ-centered worldview, I have to be willing to get to know you intimately.
That's right.
I have to be willing to get to know him intimately.
That's right.
And that's the only way it translates through.
Good evening. We would like to welcome you. We're so excited that you're with us on another Monday Night Live where we're going to have conversations and just have a good time. Because if it's Monday night, you're live.
With KW.
And sometimes Jay. Yes, we're missing Pastor Gibson tonight. And we just said we would do that. And sometimes Jay. We're praying that you are having a wonderful evening. I see that my aunt is on. She just graduated with her PhD.
Dr. Griffiths.
Dr. Griffiths, we want to congratulate you. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us tonight. We're grateful and congratulations. It's Monday.
Sure is.
And every Monday we celebrate.
Yes, we do.
And we're being intentional about celebrating on Mondays because Mondays can be so difficult. What are you celebrating?
You know what? I actually want to celebrate your aunt. We were just watching her video clip.
We sure were.
Honestly, I am so excited for her because that is no small feat to have accomplished so much in your academic life. You are at the zenith, Dr. Griffiths, and I salute you. I'm celebrating you today.
All right. I'm celebrating Ari.
Yes.
Ari has a job interview on tomorrow.
Yeah, her
first job interview
Wild.
that our 16-year-old has. She'll probably be playing at a Methodist church. And
we shall see.
We shall see. She's nervous. But I'm excited. I'm celebrating that. Celebrating that. She'll make some money.
So if you're joining us for the first time and you heard W talk about why we celebrate. And, we want to kind of unearth this narrative about what Mondays look like and the Monday blues. And so we are intentionally celebrating so that we can set the tone for the rest of our week.
That's right. That doesn't mean that Mondays aren't still challenging. That doesn't mean we didn't have challenges,
right?
But we're going to find something to celebrate.
Absolutely.
What is it that we do here on Monday nights, Kamala?
So Monday night is about conversation. It's about getting to know. It's about joining people on their journeys and the experiences of a lifetime, the things that have been meaningful to them, the things that have not been so meaningful to them, the things that they anticipate, the direction they're anticipating their life going in. We're just storytelling.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we also are keeping shop. KW Ministries has a store online. You can shop at www.kwministries.net shop. You can head over there right this second. You won't miss a beat because we're live over there also. And so head on over. You can get a mug. You can get devotionals. You can get self-help books, coloring books for adults. Those things are so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just relaxing, but healing. Not healing, that's not the word I'm looking for, but healing is a good word until I find the word. We'll be half an hour in the program will come and I'll be like, that's the word. But please head on over to www.kwministries.net.
Don't just get something for you, get something for everybody you know.
I am excited about our conversation tonight.
As am I. We are welcoming to the studio tonight none other than Tiffany White. So let me tell you a little background on our guest tonight. So starting off, let's go not all the way back, but a little bit back. Started off as a college dance scholarship. Married mom and wife to her high school sweetheart. They were in the military, traveled the world, and just 5 years ago retired from that life and are here in the state of Louisiana having a great time. What you don't know yet about Tiffany White is that she became a certified yoga instructor while in Okinawa, Japan in 2008. She's currently a praise dancer, artist, a serene space specialist, and she is indeed, I believe, an expert in this idea of yoga and what we'll be talking about tonight. She offers instruction, teaching, education in the community here in Shreveport, and I believe a wonderful asset to the community and asset to our conversation tonight.
All right. I am excited to have her. Let me start out by asking Ms. White, what are you celebrating?
Oh, I'm celebrating I'm going to say beginnings and closures.
Ooh, begin.
Closure and beginning.
I'm telling you,
I know,
man.
I mean, beginning and closures.
Yes.
If I was the expert here, I would say, can we explore that some more? But we're just going to go ahead and celebrate with you tonight. Now, I noticed that you were stationed in Japan. So is it 5 years ago that you left there?
Oh, no. We had 2 stations after Japan.
Okay,
So
all
we
right.
left Okinawa in 2010.
Okay, all right. So you didn't run across a Maximo Carbonell.
No.
No, I didn't think of
Family, I knew you had to go there.
Well, no, because the other day I was talking with someone else, and they were like, "You know Maximo?" So right, so and I know the community there is pretty close.
It is.
Right, so that's why I asked. Now, are you originally from Shreveport?
Yes.
Okay, so you came back home.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, listen, I'm the follower tonight. I'm just gonna I'm going to follow. But I would like though to ask you to please define yoga to us. And I'm gonna ask. So let me prep you that I'm gonna ask you the church questions about yoga. Someone the other day, and I know out there's probably watching, wrote me and said, so you guys are going to talk about yoga. So, and then we went in a whole long discussion on what yoga means. So would you please start out by defining yoga for us?
Okay. So yoga, originally, based off Hinduism, yoga means yoke, right? To yoke the mind, body, and spirit. The traditional practices have kind of been lost as we moved into like the Western practice. So when I started, it was more power yoga. So just the physical aspect of it. And so, but as I grew, it became the spiritual and then the connection of mind, body, and spirit aspect of it. Yeah. So as far as practicing chakras and learning the energy and how we connect with vibrations in the earth, really didn't practice so much of that, but now I'm starting to learn that frequencies do exist, right? Because we are matter, right? And when grandma used to say, "Oh, I know it's gonna rain because my wrist hurting," that's starting to make a little bit more sense to me.
Hold on. I gotta slow you down. I think you know where I'm going.
Go for it.
Sister Remo, you're watching. We just had this conversation in your living room about the knees starting to hurt when the rain get ready to fall. That's what she's about to talk about. Sister Remo says she's not claiming that, Tiffany.
She's not?
No, she told us to get out of her living room with that foolishness.
Did you call her old?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
I did not use those words. Not at all.
Okay, so because the scientific aspect of it is kind of hard to explain, but I'll tell you by saying I'm low. My iron and magnesium used to be low, right? Still kind of low. We went into a cave in Okinawa. It was a tour. I was so scared. I couldn't tell you what I saw because I went through that 45 minutes in like 20, just going straight through it. But as soon as we got mid in there, I could breathe, right? I was like, what is this, right? And then I just felt like a lightness, not because of a passing out, but because it was filled with, the magnesium, irons, and materials that were surrounding us. And because of a language barrier, it's hard for them to explain it. But I was like, I felt this, right? So I understand how our bodies kind of correlate with the weather and the temperature as it changes. So when we're saying, okay, I'm feeling kind of gloomy, right? And it's about to rain outside, or it's cold and you're aching and you probably hurt yourself somewhere like 10 years ago and it's hurting right now. It's like understanding how those connections still radiate through those neurons and stresses throughout your body.
It's so
Tiffany,
interesting.
we're getting ready to have a real good conversation.
I think so.
So I want to pause because a lot of what you've already just given us the taste of tip of the iceberg situation is stuff that I want us to get into a little bit later on. But I want to go back just to where you first developed an interest in yoga. Where did that first start for you? And yeah, let's start there.
Power yoga, you called it.
Yeah.
We might need a little bit more time. But
that's okay.
Okay, picture this. It was 2006. Yeah, 2006. I'm waiting outside for my son to come out of kindergarten class in Okinawa. And this lady kept tapping me on my shoulder. And she's very, very popular now with her program, but she would say, hey, our sons play so well together. Can they, play, like make a play date? And because of how I was then, I would do this. Like, she did this for about, I'm going to say 2 months. And so one day she says, look, my husband is a physician, or he worked in med. I couldn't remember exactly. And she's like, I know CPR. Can they please play together? And I started laughing because I'm like, my mindset was my husband's deployed. I'm just here on his tour. I'm going to take care of my kids. I don't want to meet new friends. So y'all military people get along. My head is just straight, right?
Yeah.
And so they start playing together, become really good friends. I knew she taught. I was probably 215 pounds. Then I was having allergies, right? In our homes in Japan, we had this huge drain in the laundry room. And so there's a lot of mold, and I didn't even know I was allergic to it. So they just put me on steroids. Right? Yeah. And so she says, I knew she did yoga. I just never went to look, right? I'm good. And so I went with someone to Thailand to have something done. And she calls me. She's like, I want to give you this program for, I'm going to say free, or it's very cheap. But it was like, I'm going to say about $3,000. Yeah. And in my mindset, because of where I came from, it's like, what's the catch and what do you want, right? And I'm like, I let the kids play together. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, I got a program.
And then she says, no, I really think you'll be good at it. And I'm like, And then we had dial-up, So I'm in Okinawa, Japan. I'm trying to look up what yoga is. And I'm seeing things with 8 legs. And I'm like, she's asking me, I'm like, yeah, my husband's like, it'll be rude if you don't take it. I'm like, we don't even know what this is, right? He says, just come and watch me. Come to one of my groups, and I go. And I probably was able to do like 10 minutes. I was done. And so I said, okay. She asked me when the kids are playing. I said, and I'm going to be honest, I said, I'm Black and I'm a Christian. And she said, I'm white and I'm a Christian and I'm from Greece. And I was like, I'm from Louisiana. And so she's like, just come and try it, Yeah. And so I was like, all right. So it was like 4 to 6 months. I started going. The first week, I was so sore, like I literally couldn't, I couldn't, but I couldn't wait to go back.
Yeah.
And like 4 months in, I just started crying on my mat. And she looks at me and she keeps teaching. Now we're gonna move into the downward dog, and I'm like, bring it back, because I don't cry. I'm like,
something's going on here.
Yeah, come here. And she just, kept moving. And I was like, okay. And when I tell this story, like the short version in group, I asked them, what do you think she gave me, or what do you think she helped me with? That was a gift, right? She helped me break down that wall, right? Yeah. Because I was the one. And 20 years later, they meet us in Florida, and her baby that I used to babysit says, Mom, is this the one that didn't want to be your friend?
Not the story.
Yes. And so I started teaching. I taught.
Well, hold on, Tiff. Before you go to, you started teaching. because you said something which I think goes back to one of the things that you wanted to ask about. You said, I'm Black and I'm Christian.
Yes.
And so to me, that suggests that there was a thought process around yoga and being Black and a Christian. Yeah. Tell us about that piece, because I think a lot of people do struggle with the idea. Maybe struggle is a bad word, but I'm going to use that word. Struggle with the idea of yoga from that perspective.
And not just struggle, just downright reject. My friend said to me, our pastor told us not to be weird, to be weary of yoga. And what I was going to drop that, ask about that also. So share with us the tension, that if there is a tension, what it is, why it is, and how did you, as a Black Christian, come around to now you're teaching?
Yes. So because I'm a movement person, right? I love movement. I love sounds, music. That's what I intended it to. When I praise dance, it's hard to explain. Like, you get the song in your spirit. So no matter what happens, you know where you're supposed to be. And when you're dancing with a group, if they're not in tune, right, with that, then they're going to be more so set on a beat when you're more so in tune with what was set into your spirit, to your soul, right? And so it's kind of hard to explain that part. Like I said, at first it was physical, right? I did it for the physical aspects, like power yoga. It wasn't, for her, it wasn't, we're not doing chakras. We're not,
it wasn't religious.
Yeah, it wasn't religious. It was the physical aspect of it. And as you continue to, like, you read through it to understand what it is, like a doctor reads through that little part of Chinese medicine to understand medications, right? And to be honest, I tried to bring the stretching and yoga class to my church in Okinawa. And the pastor's like, oh no, we're not doing any of that here, right? And I was like, but I can understand it because they only understood the, traditional aspect of it. But then I said, without trying to prove any points, his son was in karate. And I said, I could have a way with that. You say sensei, right? I only have one master, right? But instead of me trying to explain that part of it, I just really live by example, right? It's literally what you take from it. It's not a religious thing. It's literally being mindful of yourself, being aware of what's going on, and understanding that we're too busy. We can keep trying medications, keep trying to take a drink. Let me just chill out for a minute. But we still won't understand, like, mindful movement and understand what's going on inside of you unless you can practice that quietness and stillness. Mine is based on the word. It's not to empty my mind for it to be clear. It's to try to empty myself so I can understand what direction and what purpose, where he's pushing me, what direction he's pushing me in.
So Tiff, before you go further, and I think that was just so perfect. The cross with karate. Here's what I heard, and tell me if I'm hearing wrong. What I heard you say is, as humans, we have a choice. We can restrict ourselves to this little box of our own presuppositions, our own understandings, our own limited thoughts of what religion is.
Yes.
Or we can be open to taking different things from different cultures, from different practices, the good things from different cultures, from different practices. For example, you said with yoga, you're not emptying your head so there's nothing in there. You're actually trying to use that stillness to fill yourself with scripture, to using that physical aspect
Yes.
to still yourself with scripture. And why is that? One, did I hear you correctly? And why is that so important to us to recognize that too often we limit ourselves with, and it's some, well, let me leave that.
Sometimes we don't realize it, right?
Ah.
We focus on the flesh when what we want. If we always only do what we want, we'll most likely never get where we want to go.
Mm.
Right? Or we'll never see that path in which we're supposed to take. Because comfort is often the first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Not understanding that you're going to go through a few things. There's pain, right? Being still, and there's pain going through new trials or different trials.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of us like to stay within that comfort zone, right? I've always done it this way. This is how my family does it.
Mm-hmm.
This is how we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're not doing none of that stuff, right? We just kind of stay in the same traditions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We know what we know.
Yeah, we know. That's nobody's listening to that. And trust me, I am the black sheep of my family.
but that robs us, that idea of just staying with just what, I mean, the Bible says test every spirit, doesn't it? And so that idea of just limiting ourselves to just knowing what we know, robs us, though, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It robs us in so. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
It robs us in so many different ways, right? We cut ourselves off from. There's a communication barrier and understanding other cultures as well.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be able to understand as many people, will be able to communicate with as many people as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from having this experience on the mat, breaking down, and you
breaking down the barriers. That.
And this somehow launches you into this trajectory of offering the same instruction that you once had to other people. How did you go from that moment on the mat to the place of providing that?
So that moment on the mat, I was, like I said, I was attending the church already. I started trying to take yoga to the church.
Yeah.
Right. And that, of course, didn't work. But I had members and families and local friends who were like, teach here. And I started sunset and sunrise yoga on the roof. And so the locals absolutely loved it. We built like this friendship. I was open to friendship a little bit more.
I heard that.
We had friendships, and we would do things out in the community. We started getting out more. Like I was literally, kind of shelled, right? So I'm not saying that was the only reason, but it helped me break down that wall, right? To see that I had a safe space, right? I can quiet those thoughts that, it's not worth it, right? Because I can't trust many. That's what my mind was telling me because of my history, right?
Right.
And so, like I said, learning that there's always going to be pain, not stopping yourself from initiating or starting something new because you're afraid to feel what you felt, and understand that, that's a possibility. I just started venturing out teaching. So, like I said, I was teaching the rooftop. I started teaching on the USO, at the USO. That's adults, kids. I went to the daycare and we had a whole hour every day where we would do daddy, mommy, and me. Right. And so it just adventured out there. I taught gymnastics, dance, yoga, all of those things. And it was all around my kids' schedule.
So real quick, and just affirm something that I want to ask you.
Go ahead.
Their church rejecting that idea. Would you agree with me if I said that was a missed opportunity on their part to build some of those relationships that you would go on to build on that rooftop?
Oh, yes, it was. Because they could have had an entire community up there, right?
Yeah.
We're not praising the universe or the sun. We're taking in, right? That vitamin D, C, E, all those things, releasing and relaxing, working out and stretching together. You know, it was just a missed opportunity, but it wasn't missed for me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
had to detach myself from feeling like that was a main point for me. And that's kind of easy for me. I'm like, let me move on, right? Because I don't have time to explain. I can only be a vessel, right? I'm trying to get, I always say I want my well done, right? I just want to share. I just want to love. And they did miss that opportunity. And I kind of felt bad too for the ones that asked me for private sessions, but were afraid to share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So now, during all this time period, you're still in Japan, correct?
Yes.
So tell us about the translation of things. How you ended up moving from that practice and what you were offering there to being back in the States and what that looked like. First of all, were there any differences that you noticed between practicing overseas and practicing here?
Yes. So there was a culture shock in the airport. You know, just the way people greet you, treat you, right? And my children were just kind of like, and I'm like, welcome to the States. Right? And I was grateful because they were exposed to such a loving, open culture. You know,
Respect.
Yes, respect for elders, respect for, everyone before we even got here, back to the States. They were young when we went, but they were more mature and understanding when we moved to Virginia, which wasn't, too bad, right? There, I really didn't, I'm going to say teach much. I taught in the gym again, right? That's fitness.
Yeah.
So in the gym, I taught in the gym, and I also became the first fitness assessment cell worker. And if you don't know what that is, that's when the military hired civilians to avoid the good old boy buddy system of passing your troops. So they hired us. So that was my 3 years of working there before we went to Texas.
So I've heard you emphasize the idea of, the physical aspects of yoga, specific, but there is a shift. There's something that has, I guess, evolved from those early days. What's different? What's different now from this time period?
From when it was just power yoga.
Yeah.
In a short context, it was Texas took our family through an entirely different perspective in life. So many things happened then. It's not an unknown thing, but my husband was originally diagnosed with lung cancer. But it in turn, after he had a we call it when they take some of the biopsy of his lung. They understood it was sarcoidosis. Why does that matter? Is because the doctor then explained to me, and that's when everything kind of came into play. Versus the kids growing up, right? We're going through these medical things, not understanding what's happening, and then we come to this, and the doctor says you only use about 60% of your lungs, right? And he said, especially with military, that more so, or, people that experience trauma, they only use that much of their lungs because they're so, shoulders here and there. They really
it's going.
Yeah, they really can't relax, right? And so It was funny how we found out, trying to make it a little bit faster. My husband had shoulder surgery, and the doctor missed. He did a block so he wouldn't feel the pain, but he paralyzed his diaphragm. So within 5 minutes, both lungs filled with fluid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they tried to send him home. He couldn't even put on his shirt. He's just like, and they were like, oh, some people just feel. I was like, no, you don't understand. This guy trains my son every morning at 4 a.m. basketball. This is not him, right? And so I ended up taking an x-ray, both lungs filled with fluid. And so the doctor's like, I'm like, y'all gonna drain that? You know, like, because I'm not taking him home, right? And so they said, the breathing, he had to, right? Literally open up the lungs, taking in a deep breath to build those channels in order to express that fluid from out there. That's when things start literally connecting, right? But that's our thing, right? So he says we only use, only 60% of our lungs daily. Those that are more so traumatized can't relax, right? And when we can't use our full lungs to understand how to take in those deep breaths, then we have those individual invisible crawlies on our legs, the pinches, the numbness, tingling, right? And so when we condition ourselves to practice that deep breathing, we were able to get that fluid out, of his lungs. And so we've been doing it since, right? Then start practicing the connection, right? He'll ask me, when my husband asks me, can we do some yoga deep breath? I'm like, yes.
Absolutely.
Because he's my number one supporter. He would come to all new groups, but that was it. He would leave like, but it became a part of our lives. And then I began to understand, associating with the mindset of, we've got to take care of ourselves differently. We're dealing with this. Our kids are transitioning into adults. That was hard. But, not understand, like, you have to be mindful, right? And understand what's going on within you to listen to you before you can even understand or explain to somebody else what you're going through or what you need. Right?
So it sounds like you started, so the benefits of just more mindful awareness of body became really important.
Yes.
So
became life-saving.
Help us understand, not just us seated, but help us globally, whoever's watching, understand what that shift in mindset did for you and how that translates into yoga practice. Like, what shifted in terms of yoga practice now?
Okay, so when you understand that there you have limitations and you have health challenges within your life, also, just growing up, I'm a little older, all these things, this mental health, physical health, and you need to keep God first, right? And when we try to dwell on things and focus on everything else, right? Besides, what am I supposed to be doing? We moved into, we need to work out more. And that's fine. But we also need to read more. We start, Bible studies more so. I became a yoga instructor in 2008, continue to up my levels, but I practice somatic movement, right? There's a difference. Somatic movement is intentional, right? An intentional focus on a particular part, particular release within your body, stretching, but you're intentionally releasing, right, anxieties or just stressors. If I feel tightness here, I'm not just going to go and do a stretching yoga session, right, with all these downward dogs and push-up planks and chaturangas. I'm going to be mindful. I'm going to sit, I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to intentionally release my shoulders, right, and relax my back.
So hold on, Tiff. Can we do that together and try and ask the folk at home to do that with us?
Sure
Can you walk us through that, and let's try some of that.
Sure can. Okay. So if you are sitting right now, and you have your feet should be on the ground,
Well,
no shifts in the I mean, you can have it on the ground, but as long as your hips are leveled, right? And we want to start by relaxing the back on the chair, releasing the glutes because sometimes we have them tight. Release the shoulders. And I want you to slightly close the eyes or soften the eyes. And I want you to focus on your breath, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. As you breathe, I want you to be aware if there's any, I'm going to say blockaging, like wheezing or a discomfort in the exhale or the inhale. Do you feel anything off within the body? Aches in the legs, the abdominal area? Everything should be relaxed. And as you focus on trying to maintain an equal breath of the inhale and the exhale, I want you to just be mindful that this is your space, this is your time. You're not focusing on what's going to happen within the next few minutes or what's happened in the past. This is you being mindful of what your body needs, being grateful for what you have, and being in tune with what's surrounding you at this time. And if you want to create space for a second, I'm going to have you turn the chin. We're going to imagine making circles in front of us. So I'm going to turn my chin slightly to the left shoulder. And I'm going to inhale as I take my chin up. And I'm going to exhale as I come down, trying to sweep the chest with my chin. You might hear a few things as you take the chin up and exhale it as you come down. Not rushing, not worried about anything else, just creating space, loosening up the upper neck and back. And as your chin meets the chest on this last one, we're going to change directions by inhaling up as our thyroidic areas open and exhaling as we come down. Again, we're going to try to sweep the chest. We're going to do 2 more of those. Taking your time as you inhale on this last one, going up, and exhale as you come down. I want you to leave the chin to the chest for 1 more breath, releasing those shoulders. And we're going to just take the nose right up towards the ceiling, opening up the thyroidic area. Kind of squish your chin just a little bit to stretch the front of your neck. Taking 1 more breath. And then we're going to just bring the head back neutral. And you can softly open the eyes and relax.
That's good stuff, man.
That's really good stuff. That's good stuff. I didn't conjure up any spirits today. I'm sorry.
Well, you
I'm
know
being
what?
mean.
This is, a lot of people don't understand this is our thyroid, right? We always have it closed in our book, in our phone, watching TV. We sleep like this. And then we wonder why we go off, right? Just kidding. If we can open up this area, that's what I mean, intentionally understanding that this is your thyroid area, right? We never really stretch our neck, right?
Yeah.
And we don't intentionally release and create space in our neck, but then our shoulders hurt sometimes.
Hurt tight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
So when we're mindful of our awareness in our body, sometimes we sit and we're like, okay, let me just release, right?
And this can help to lower anxiety and
blood pressure,
wow.
all those things. And we're saying we will always have triggers, right? But how we manage them when we're aware of them makes the biggest difference in the world.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Awesome.
What are some of the benefits that you have seen, not just in your family's life and your personal life, but what are some of the benefits that you've seen from this kind of type of practice, especially this more intentional practice that you've been talking about with the somatic stretching?
In addition to what we just experienced.
Right. What are some benefits that you've noted with people over the years?
Oh goodness, I absolutely love my most challenging. I need a challenge, and it's always the ones like I'm not doing no yoga, right? What is that?
Hey, that was you one time.
It was, and that's why I'm like, okay. By the time they leave, they're like, when are we gonna have you again? Only once a week, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of like I didn't even know I did that, or I didn't even know I could do that. And they're like, man, this feels so good, right? And it's because I feel the most beneficial thing is providing something that they've never experienced before or thought about experience, because it's not in our culture, right? And we think, okay, stretch in high school or school is 1, 2, 3, right? We didn't breathe with it. We didn't say, okay, how are you feeling? It's go get on court and start moving, right?
Right.
And so, like I was saying, it's seeing individuals literally transform or understand that there's a difference. We're not conjuring anything. It's literally, maybe having the ability to move my body in places where I restricted it because I felt like I was too old, or because I had an injury and I just couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to see me doing handstands, and hopefully till I'm like 60 years old.
Wow.
Because I want my body to be able to move, and understanding this is our medium right here. When we do those stretches across, right, we need both hemispheres to work together. In order to explain it a little bit better, I am 85 years old. I am getting out of the car. I grab my bag, I grab my keys, I try to shut the door, and I fracture my hip. Right? Because I'm so used to using my dominant side that my body continuously, is only used to doing that. And so for me, somatic stretch is understanding like the full body and intentionally moving so that I'm able to release, relax, and stretch those muscles, because we don't know where our history is stored. But when we do that muscle tension release, we're releasing something regardless, right?
So let me ask you this question, Tiff. So for the person in their 20s and their 30s, for us, it might, well, Kamala does yoga. Full disclosure.
She does.
Right. I don't. That's quite obvious. But my very serious question is, someone that's listening to us, they're in their 60s, they're in their 70s, they're not stretching, they haven't done anything, they haven't, that's the person that when they move their hand, you hear, how does that person get into stretching, get into yoga? How even if they, how do they get into that?
Everything starts with what you can do, right? It starts with moving, and that's what I love about yoga, right? I tell them their mat is their space, the chair is their space. You have what do you call it, modifications, right? Everyone starts from where they are, and if you want to keep moving, right, if you're determined to keep moving, you'll keep practicing, right? You'll keep moving a little bit more day by day. But I tell everyone in my group, your space is your space. Stay in your area. If your hand is here and theirs is up here, you're going to hurt yourself trying to get it here, right? Only go where you can. That's the issue with us in this world. We're always comparing ourselves, not understanding that we're all individual. We're all unique, right? And so I tell them to just do you. It's not a competition. Start where you are. Be where you are. without feeling, judgmental. Don't judge yourself, right? Don't be judgmental against anyone else. Just be where you are.
Hashtag do you.
Do you?
There was the second part to that was.
I think do you is pretty good. Right, straight to the point.
Right.
Do you? You're
Do
unique.
you.
Like literally, I said in the
Mhm.
world outside of yoga, right? We're
Mhm.
always like, well, she's 32 and she has a house and a car and right all
Yeah.
that stuff. Why don't I have that? You can
Mhm.
read that book on how to become rich
Mhm.
on 12 steps, right? You
Mhm.
do all 12 steps and your journey is still not going to be exactly like that person's is,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? It's just you have to focus on what he wants for you, what your mission is, right?
Right.
It's not going to be like anyone else's. You can't compare yourselves. And if that's all you're looking at, you're going to miss where you're supposed to be.
And so start where you are, wherever you are.
Right.
Start there,
Mhm.
and then do you. And
Yeah,
don't
do you?
don't look at somebody else's stuff.
Yeah.
No.
That's so important in life.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, looking at other people's stuff can hinder you.
Absolutely.
Because
I can never get there.
I can never get
So
there.
why bother
So why
trying?
even bother trying? Wow. And so many times we lock ourselves off from experiencing what God has for us by
Yes.
looking at what he gave to somebody else. Forgive us,
Yes.
Lord. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm curious. So somebody has been listening in this whole time and they're going, all right, this sounds kind of interesting. Maybe I wasn't thinking about it before, but now I'm kind of thinking a little bit more about it. I want to check out how I can start a practice. Where does somebody like that go?
Yeah.
What do they do?
Yeah.
They go to copingtips.com.
Uh-oh.
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 Come on, tell us more.
Where did they go?
Copingtips.com.
And I can't
That
even do
is
that.
K is coping with the K.
K-O.
KOPINGTIPS.com.
All right. That's coming up there.
What do they find there, Tiff?
Right now, they will find a small website, but we have where you can contact me, let me know what you're interested in doing, and we can get together and figure out some ways we can start out with a basic stretch. We don't have to meet anywhere. Same thing online. They also have a serene space. I don't know if we're getting into that, but I create healing environments where there's lighting and aromatherapy personalized to individual need, right?
Yeah.
There goes the website.
Yes. So I teach in a wellness clinic in one of the middle schools, one of the local middle schools. I love when they used to do that. Where's Miss Kamala?
This is good. I love this. This is good.
Yeah.
So copingtips.com. What's the cost? Because what we'll do tonight, our giveaway tonight will be if you want what is it called? Session,
but it'd be a consultation / session. If they want to do, if you want to give one away tonight, it'll be free.
No. We want to pay for it. KW, this is one of these right. This is what we want to offer. This is what
that is by term. Are you doing it for one person or you want to do it for a group of people?
Okay, so how does it work? Tell us how it works.
They contact me, like corporate entities, either for murals or serene space or sessions, and then we say how many people you're going to have, and I give them a price.
Okay, so you don't do one person.
I will do one person.
Okay, all right. So let's go with one.
Usually that one person is $20 an hour.
$20 an hour? Okay, all right. So we can do two people. So when we spin our wheel tonight, if you win our wheel, which means you need a comment. I see you out there. You're not commenting, you're not asking questions. You can win an hour with Miss Tiffany. and we will give you the details. All right.
Yes.
So yoga is healing. It's physical healing. We're stretching.
Yes.
But it's
And
also mental healing. And you talked about the definition of the yoking of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual.
Mhm.
All right. Say more about that being in tune with yourself piece.
Okay. Being in tune, the best analogy that I give is when I am practicing, yoga is not just on the mat, right? A somatic practice for me is understanding that I can't eat right every day and expect to be the best mom in the world, right? I can't do my best at work and just expect to be the best everything in the world. I have to be in tune into everything that I do in my life, right? And that's finding a balance with time, right? Making time for my word, my family, right? And being in tune with what I put into my body, right? And so a lot of people think of a workout, you're going out to, run. But for me to work out is starting from the inside and working things out, right?
Yeah.
With yourself. So being in tune with everything, mind, body, and spirit. Right? Not just picking one. I'm just going to work out. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to do me. I'm going to look good, and I'm not worried about anything else. Right? Yes. So the yoke for me is finding the balance amongst it all, bringing it together. Right? When you have balance, then the outcome in life is just a little bit easier. Right? You're prepared for the unexpected a little bit more. Right? Versus, I just got to do this. I got to be here. That's me sometimes. Like I do so much and I really didn't say no. Right? Right now it's okay.
It's gotta be.
We did a survey some weeks ago. Not an official survey. We just realized how burnt out we are, how tired we are, how much we have expended of our sales, and just need to find back that balance.
Yeah.
And that starts with saying what?
No. I was right there with you.
No, dance. No.
The challenge is the field we're in, and I'm a pastor. Like we had something that I can't say what it is, and my wife said to me, "Now, if I had said no, what would you have said?" So there's that kind of there's that kind of situation. But how important is it to say no, and how does that relate to the whole yoking piece?
Yeah, you can say no because sometimes when you're so depleted, right? When you are like, my eye is on getting to the house. I've come home sometimes and I'll look at the door like I wish Crowlo could come out. My dog could come and just take me in. Right? I am done. And then that one last person calls. And in the back of your head that they call you first because you're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not that you're mean or, you're being mean. Sometimes you have to set a time. I mean, I've got to the point where I put on my do not disturb within particular times. I don't come in the house on the phone anymore. Right? There's boundaries, right, that you have to set in order for that notification to be a no. Because just a little ding, even if you don't look at it, it's going to take you away from being present.
Yeah.
Tiff, I heard so many good things from you tonight and so many reminders of the importance of balance in everything that we do. I've heard you talk about benefits, not just from a physical standpoint, because you could easily focus in on physical. That would be all well and good, but it doesn't get us to the place of really achieving what we can. Getting us away from our limitations. I've heard you talk about the mental health benefits just across the board. So,
and then gave us an example of
yes,
releasing. And yes.
Good.
which I won't say what I was about to say. So here's what, just to kind of close it in. If you had to say something to somebody to encourage them to even consider this as a practice that they could pick up for themselves, what would you say from kind of your heart of hearts? Like, what has this done for you that you believe it can do for somebody else?
I often kind of say this, I'm sorry. Another analogy is we're always quick to defend ourselves, right? On the street, quick to fight for what we feel is right. And from the outside perspective, right, we kind of have that judgmental, right? They don't know what they're doing, or they don't understand me, or I feel like I'm better than this, right? But I tell everyone, regardless of what we would do, outward, I want us to have that same mentality when it comes to what we think about ourselves and what we say to ourselves. And so the hashtag for me is square up to your negative thoughts, right? Because if we square up on the block, we got to square up to here. A lot of times, because we have that inner war, we, fight against others, but we still kind of accept the bad thoughts. Taking that time to center in on not what you haven't accomplished yet, but on what you're grateful for and what you've been through and where you are now, and seeing where you can go from here, where God can take you, is the best first step, right? You can't just start working out and walking and going around the block. Even if you do, I don't want you to put on music. I want you to be in nature with yourself, right? Focus on what's going on within you. What do you need to take care of? And know that it's okay, right? To tell yourself, I'm going to be something, right? I'm not what I told myself or what that person said I was, right? I was created for better, and I am favored, right? And you start building from there. Don't try to start from the highest level. Start from where you are.
That's powerful.
Yes.
That is powerful. Start from where you are. Keep your eyes off of other people's stuff. Do you? And this has been really, really, really good, really powerful. And so here's what we're gonna do is on Paulette and Hilbert Glenn will be our winners. Is that how we want to do it? Anna Kay? I think that's what she texted me.
Yes, she did.
All right. So
and
that's
just to highlight, website is upcopingtips.com. That's coping with a K. And that is Tiffany White's website where you can begin that exploration. But for tonight,
but how you get these gifts from us is you head over to www.kwministries.net, claim your prize, put in your information, and then we will get your information on to Tiffany. How do we do that? Well,
we'll get it to her.
We'll get your information on to Tiffany along with the money, and then you'll get in touch, Tiffany.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's what we'll do. So go to www.kwministries, claim your prize, and we will get that information on to Tiffany with your $20 for your hour, and you will begin to experience
coping tips with Tip.
There you go.
There you go. I love it. Thank you so much for being on tonight. We're so very, very grateful. Tiffany, thank you so much for talking to us. I know you had a busy day. It's a Monday, and for you to sit down and talk with us. This was really fun. This was really good, and we're really, really grateful.
Yes, I enjoyed that. Thank you guys for welcoming me. For having
absolutely. Yoga is healing, y'all. And that's what we discovered tonight.
Yes.
So
movement is healing.
That's right. Movement is healing. I love that.
That's
I love
right.
that. I love that.
So
Listen,
it's Monday night.
Listen, it's Monday night. You're live with KW.
Peace. It's your line.